So when I work with members who are looking to reconcile with their ex, and they've made a lot of changes, but their ex still isn't coming back to them. It can seem like no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you grow, your ex doesn't believe that you are the person who you are becoming, right? And what I've found is that a lot of people, before we start working together, have had this motivation dip because their partner is not believing them. The problem is that when your motivation dips, it shows your partner that you're not ready to rebuild a relationship, and this actually pushes them further and further away. So in this video, I want to talk about the difference between growth for growth and growth for change, how it impacts reconciliation, and how shifting your mindset during this time is going to be crucial for whether or not you succeed in reconciling with your partner. When you're trying to rebuild attraction and you're making growth and you're making changes, the genesis for it, the starting point, the seedling of it can come from having this realization that you need to change, right? And you'll realize that your relationship has fallen apart, or your partner wants to break up with you, and you want to make these changes in order to bring your partner back. That can be the genesis for change. And this is what we call growth for change. You want to grow because you want change in your life. You want to grow because you want different outcomes. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's normal. It's what a lot of people do. The problem is that when you are wanting to change and develop and expand yourself just for outcomes, then your motivation fluctuates based on the outcome. So as an example of this, if you are growing, you're changing your communication, you're learning relationship skills because you want your partner to come back, because you want this relationship to change, then as you do it, if you initially don't get the outcomes that you want, then your motivation can dip because you're thinking, well, why bother? Why do I bother changing? Why do I bother growing? Because my relationship isn't changing. My partner isn't coming back to me. My partner is still wanting to explore other relationships. So your motivation dips. And when this motivation dips because you're not getting the outcome that you want, then your ex-partner sees that your motivation isn't tied to wanting to just grow. Your motivation is tied to bring them back. And what this tells them is that if they do choose to return to the relationship, then your motivation to change and to grow is tied to them. It's not because it's who you are. And what that means is that you start to scorekeep. You start to build resentment in your mind because you're changing for them, right? Whereas if you're growing for the sake of growing, you're growing because you know that you need to grow. You know that you want to grow, and you're growing because it's important to grow as a human being, to learn good communication skills, to learn emotional regulation skills, to learn how to lead a relationship. If you're growing because it's based on the importance of growth, then your motivation isn't tied to the outcomes. And this means that regardless of whether your partner is there or not, whether your partner is coming back to you or not coming back to you or pursuing other relationships, you're going to continue growing. That in itself is not only attractive, but it also shows that you have what we call an intrinsic motivation for growth. You're growing because of the value of growth. You're not growing just to get something. And that's the difference that your partner is going to feel. So if you're trying to repair a relationship or trying to get your ex back, then growing for growth is going to be the most crucial shift that you can make. And this shift is going to make the biggest difference as to whether your partner comes back to you or not. So I want to break these down individually to show you the differences in how they impact not only your day-to-day life, but your reconciliation and relationship growth as well. So growth for change is usually crisis-driven motivation, right? This is triggered by conflict or emotional distress. This is triggered by a crisis happening. Maybe it's a huge conflict in the relationship. Maybe it's a breakup. Maybe it's your partner having an affair or something like that. This is where you say, oh my God, I need to grow because I need to change this outcome. This is where things feel very urgent because this pain demands immediate action. What happens in this state is that your motivation is fueled by the want to restore things back to normal, to get things to go back to the way they were. A crisis has happened and you just want things to go back to normal. The problem is that when the motivation is driven by a crisis, once this crisis lessens, the urgency fades and it means that your old habits return. This type of growth is very reactive and it's focused on fixing a problem rather than sustaining change. And this is a massive difference, is that if your relationship has been on the decline and conflicts have arisen and you've not stepped up in the right way, you've not made the right changes, you're not grown, you're not led the relationship in the right direction, then ultimately a crisis happens, usually like a breakup or a huge fight or an affair or things like that. When you're motivated by this crisis, once that crisis is over, i.e. once they return to you or once they stop having the affair or once you have apologized for the fight, then this means that you are no longer motivated to continue to grow. And that in itself is not very attractive, ultimately. It shows that you're not really doing things because it's the right thing to do. You're doing it for selfish reasons. You're doing it so that you get what you want. When it comes to growth for growth, this is where it's part of your identity. This is an identity-driven motivation. So this is where it's rooted in long-term self-development, not just repairing your relationship. This is where you change because it's part of who you are. You're doing it for the intrinsic value, not the extrinsic value of trying to bring a crisis back to a normal state. And this is where your change becomes consistent, regardless of whether things are good or bad in the relationship. You are still growing, you're still doing the right thing, the effective thing, whether things are good or bad. This means that your motivation is fueled by becoming the person that you want to be, independent of external approval or outcomes, right? You are doing this because this is part of who you are. You're choosing to grow and change and do the right things because this is part of who you are, not because you're wanting to get approval from your partner. This means that the growth is proactive. This means that you are creating much deeper changes within yourself. And these are the changes that will start to reflect out. And these are the changes that your partner will see day in, day out. And this is where a lot of people get confused when it comes to repairing a relationship. You know, often people say, well, how can my ex-partner see that I've changed if I'm not in contact with them? But this is why having deep changes that resonate out in your day-to-day life will always get back to your ex-partner. They're always aware of how much you're changing or not. True, deep identity-based change is who you are when people aren't watching. When no one is watching, what do? Do you do the right thing? You do the effective thing? Do you grow in the right ways? Or do you slack off? Do you not put in the work? Do you not make the right changes because your partner isn't in contact with you? So growth for growth results in lasting changes because it aligns with your core values. It becomes one of your core values and your identity. Growth becomes part of you. And this is the difference between, like we said, extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation. If you look at this graph, you can see that when it comes to extrinsic motivation, whenever there's a conflict, this means that your motivation goes up. You're like, oh my God, I have to make some changes. And then you do it for a bit. And then because there's no conflict, you slack off and then conflict happens again. And this is why so many relationships end up in a roller coaster up and down ride, is because you're extrinsically motivated. You're only motivated when something bad happens. You're not motivated to do it day in, day out. You're not being proactive with it. Whereas when you're extrinsically motivated, you're putting in the work and the effort and effective action, regardless of whether there's a conflict or not, regardless of what is happening around you. It's kind of like, this means that you're investing in your relationship, period. And what this does is that this not only shows your partner that you're willing to change and grow regardless of the outcomes, but you're willing to invest in this relationship even when they're not fully invested yet. And this is the foundation of rebuilding a relationship. So mastering this shift from external motivation to intrinsic motivation is going to be crucial. And this is why, when it comes to working with new members, I will always have a conversation with them first. I want to work with people who want to grow regardless. I work with people who want to do the right thing, who want to do the effective thing in their entire life. I am not some expat coach. I'm not someone who promises that, to give you some scripts or things to say to to bring your ex back. That is not how life works. There are plenty of people out there who will take thousands and thousands of dollars of your money in order to give you that false promise. But that's not me. I work with people long-term who are wanting to put in the right effort to raise their standards and become the best partner that they possibly can be. And as an emergence of that, this is what draws their partners back because they are putting in the effort regardless. So how do you shift from extrinsic motivation to intrinsic motivation? How do you shift to these identity-based changes? Well, the first is to start to rewire your self-image. Next, it's important to set yourself non-negotiable daily processes. If you want to have this as part of your identity, you can't just do it when you feel like it. You have to do it whether you feel motivated or not. It's kind of like going to the gym. If you want to become stronger, if you want to become fitter, you have to go to the gym whether you are feeling it that day or not. You have to do it because it's part of who you are, because it's part of your identity. You go to the gym. You're not someone who is going to the gym to lose some weight, to lose 50 pounds. And then once you've lost 50 pounds, you just carry on going as normal. It has to become part of who you are, part of your identity. Next, it's important to make sure that you're measuring your progress by consistency of effort. A lot of people measure progress by outcomes, by what they have. But in order to make it part of your identity, you need to measure your progress by how consistent you are at putting in the effort. But most of all, make sure that you make your goals identity-based. Growth should not be there just to repair your relationship. Growth should be for you. Your growth should be to become the best version of you regardless. This is not some surface level, I'm going to give myself some more time with friends in the pub or something like that. This is growth. This is the stuff that's going to be uncomfortable. This is the stuff that is going to push you and force you into uncomfortable scenarios that are going to make you a stronger, more resilient, more empathetic, more skilled person in relationships. And the thing with relationships specifically is, I'm sorry for getting passionate about this, is that relationship skills are some of the most crucial skills that you can have, especially when it comes to, this world of AI and ChatGPT and all this sort of stuff. Like, the one thing that it cannot replicate is these relationship skills. You learn the right relationship skills and be able to master them so that it's your default, so that you are showing up because it's your identity rather than because it's just what you want. This is the stuff that can't be faked by AI. You can't fake being a genuine person. You can't fake being someone who cares about other people, who shows a genuine interest. You can't fake that. You can try, but people see through it pretty easily. And this is why it's so crucial to build these identity-based changes, not based on outcomes, but because it's who you are. Working with thousands of clients has taught me is that the biggest shift of all is putting in this work, even when no one is watching, even when things seem hopeless. Because when you do show up, and you show up when no one's looking, when the outcomes aren't happening, and you continue to put in the work and the effort in the right ways, then that is the turning point. The turning point for reconciliation, for turning relationships around, is not done through one special conversation. It's done behind closed doors. It's done in private. It's done in your personal time. When people think of breakout success for movie stars, when you actually look at their career, their breakout moment didn't happen in one movie. It happened in the years before that they were working on things, even when they weren't getting outcomes. You want success in your life, if you want success in your relationships, that comes from putting in the work when the outcomes aren't happening. And that is the difference between growth for growth and growth for change. Growth for growth happens behind closed doors. And this also applies to relationships, even when you are reconciled. This is what a lot of my members have found, is that once reconciliation happens, their motivation doesn't dwindle because they want to keep progressing that relationship. They are still motivated to do it because it's who they are. And this is what your ex-partner is going to feel from you in every interaction. If you're motivated to grow because it's who you are, then they will see that and they will feel that. And even when they're throwing subconscious tests at you, you'll be able to handle it because your motivation isn't tied to how your ex-partner is responding. And over time, this benefits both of you because these skills will help you to always grow yourself as an individual, but it will also help to lead the direction of the relationship in a healthy direction long-term. It will benefit both of you long-term, even after reconciliation has already happened. And this is exactly what all of my successful members do. And if you do want to join us, then join my relationship bootcamp, where you'll learn the same fundamental steps that all of my members start with. Every single one of them starts on the relationship bootcamp. And you'll learn the elements that are crucial for repairing, rebuilding, and growing healthy relationships long-term. If you do want to join us, just click on the link in the description to grab your spot. So the more that you make progress detached from the outcomes, not just in your relationship, but in life, This means that you will always be winning. You will always be growing, period. Once you start to detach from these outcomes, then it just becomes an effort stat. The more effort you put in, the more your outcomes happen. And this all comes from making sure that you're raising your standards. The way that you act, not only in relationships, but in life in general, will have a huge impact on whether reconciliation happens or not. I've actually done a deeper dive video on the importance of raising standards in a relationship. This raising of standards will not only influence how quickly reconciliation happens, but it will also influence how much your relationship grows over time. So I'm going to leave you with that deep dive video, and I will see you over there.